Hello and welcome back to the channel. Have you been struggling with your departures and landings with the CRJ V2 in Flight Sim 2024? Well, here's some tips to help you out. Hello, we're back here in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. We are pushing back in the CRJ. We're going to do a short hop from Orlando to Tampa. And the reason for this video is, as you can see up here, somewhere, if I can aim right, we have a camera. And the camera's going to show you how much turning, how much pulling I do on this yoke. Now, every peripheral is going to be a little bit different. In this case, I'm using a Honeycomb Alpha. And before we go too much farther, let's look into one super important thing, and that is the settings. So here in settings for this control, or controller, we have the Alpha flight control here. So if we click on that button here, and we're going to click on, whoops, click on again. We're going to click on hardware settings, because with the hardware settings is where you can adjust the sensitivity for your aircraft. I have a -60 on both the X and the Y axis, and that is super important. That means less sensitivity for the controls itself, and I have a special custom airplane controls just for that CRJ. So I do recommend you find your sweet spot. Again, this is for the Alpha, and of course we're in Flight Sim 2024. With that said, let's go flying here now. We're not going to really follow a lot of procedures on this flight. We're going to just, this is again mostly just to show you how to get better departures and better landings with the CRJ. Now I have the system pretty much all set up to go here. I'm going to click on Flight Director, and we have our flaps ready to go as well. So we're going to taxi runway 17 here for departure and make our way on out. Now, one thing that's super important, and that is to not pull back on the stick too much when you hit your V speeds. So if we look on down here, we can see our V speeds, 128, 129, 138. So about 128, we're going to pull back on that nose just ever so slightly, but not be too aggressive, because this plane will take off on its own. It's a really well done aircraft, and you just got to kind of finesse it just a little bit to get going. I'm going to go ahead and turn my heading bug, set it for our first waypoint. And that is all set up, ready to go. Alright, so at this point now, we're going to go ahead and bring up our throttle. So we're in the climb detent, and now we're going to go to toga. We're set for toga, holding the brakes down still. Push the toga button, release the brakes. Alright, so here we go for our departure. We have our trim set, we have our flaps set, and now we're going to go ahead and hit that 128, 129, and give it just a little bit of pullback on the stick. Have just a little bit of wind coming from ahead, so there's our V1 rotating. Pull back just a little bit, let it glide its way up, and give it just a little bit more power. And you see I barely even moved the yoke. Now that we're on our departure climb out, let's bring up our gear. We're going to also trim the nose down a little bit, because this plane will just want to climb really high. So we're going to bring it down just a little bit on that trim. Easy, slow movements to get this plane going. Alright, flaps are also going up as well. And again, you see nothing major going on with the yoke, just very minor movements, and full flaps up. We'll go ahead and set the speed, set our heading mode, and with that set, we're going to go to AP. AP is enabled, aircraft is swinging over where it needs to go. Alright, now that the AP is going, we're going to go ahead and go to nav, and that should capture the first waypoint there. Looks really good. Alright, flaps are up, all's grand there. Let's go ahead and bring our reversers to disarm mode, and we're making a nice clean departure here out of Tampa. And Tampa out there in the distance. Alright, so you saw there, very minor movement. So try to visualize it here on the camera. Here is the aircraft. Once you hit your V1, you're going to slowly bring it up. Once you bring it up just that little tiny bit, the plane's going to pull up a little bit more automatically. And once it gets to about that V2, so we're going to bring the nose up just a little bit more, and then the plane will get off the ground. and rise. Then once you're at this climb, you're going to slowly adjust the trim so that it's kind of balanced to where you need to go. Okay, so simple tactics, very minor movements. You saw I barely even moved the yoke to get this plane off the ground. And we're going to do the same thing on arrival, so we'll check back in for that arrival. All right, here we are on approach into Tampa. So the flight's been pretty good. It's been only a few minutes, it's a short little hop, but what we want to do next is we want to make sure our speed's under control. Now, as you know, the CRJ does not have auto throttle, so you do have to control the throttle all throughout the flight. And so I'm currently in manual speed as we are descending 2 bucks. I believe it's what it's called. Yeah, bucks for the arrival 19 left into Tampa. Now, this is without ATC, but of course, if you have ATC, you would follow whatever restrictions they give you. But so the next step we have to do is we're going to get those reversers back on, because we do need to decelerate this plane once we get onto the ground. Once we have that going, the next thing is you want to make sure your landing speeds are all set. So I do have that checked. You can see the little blue line. I'm going to zoom in here. That blue line there is telling me that the V speeds are programmed and set and ready. I'm now looking at our waypoint here, which is bucks. So once we get close to bucks, we're going to go ahead and arm the approach. And from bucks to Pomsey? From bucks to Pomsey is about 3 nautical miles. So pretty much from bucks to the arrival here is going to be just about 6 nautical miles. So somewhere around where this magenta line is, this arch, where that is where we are going to start doing our flaps and actually get prepared for the arrival. Until then, we're just going to manage that speed coming on in to Tampa. Now we can see I hear the call out for 3,000, letting us know that we're 1,000 feet away from that call out. Go ahead and bring in our map just a little bit more so we can kind of see what's going on here. Now the cool thing is with this new V2, you do have weather radar, which we're not going to be using for this flight, as Tampa is not too bad right now. It's VFR conditions, so it is visual, but as you can see right now, it's a little cloudy in the area. Shouldn't cause any issues for this arrival. Now I like to be around that 210 or so speed as I come in for the approach into the airport. It's pretty easy to bleed off speed with this aircraft. One thing though, it is really easy to be too low with this aircraft because you're trying to monitor the speed, you're also monitoring that altitude, and thankfully when you get on the localizer, the glide slope should hopefully be caught as well, and it takes a little bit of stress off your approach itself. So we're getting close to where we're going to bring out those flaps. As you can see, we're getting closer to that 3,000. Once we get to 3,000, we're going to see our speed drop back a bit because now we're more maintaining a straight direction. Or, sorry, we're not having to pitch up or pitch down. We're steady at our V speed, right? So right now we're slowly kind of going down a little bit. Soon we're going to be managing straight. So we're about that 6 now, so we're going to go ahead and bring that first notch of flaps out. And by bringing that first notch of flaps out, you're going to see the bar come on down. That's good news, right? That means we're getting close to our approach. Bring back that speed now. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and arm the approach and see if the localizer does indeed get captured. Speed's coming down nice and good there. And we're making a turn to the left and monitoring that speed even more. Looking good. Alright, speed's looking better, coming on down to 180. I'm going to go ahead and set 180 here on the knob. All grand there. Now we're a little high on the approach because the localizer is not capturing, so autopilot is going to come off earlier than I normally like. That's alright though. And we're going to go ahead and manage that speed. Alright, so flaps coming down second notch. And we're going to go ahead and bring down our nose just a little bit so we can get closer on our glide slope. We're going to trim out the aircraft just a little bit as well. Alright, and we're going to go flaps down notch. And we're going to bring down our speed a little bit more. There's a lot to manage with this aircraft, but you're going to manage a lot of it, honestly, with your trim and your speed. Very little bit with the pitch itself. So I don't know how much you can see in the video, but it's very, very minor movements I'm doing with it. Alright, flaps coming down to the next notch. Very, very minor. Mostly left and right. Just getting that course correction. For the most part, I'm just adjusting that trim. And very, very minor movements with the trim. As you can see, we're a little high on the approach. That's alright. Bring back the throttle. Alright, I see 1 red and 3 white, which means we're just a little bit high on the approach. I'm just balancing out that trim a little bit more. Now we do have a headwind here of currently 22 knots, so it's going to be a little bit of a breezy approach. Let's see if I can nail this landing. Very, very minor adjustments. Alright, looking really good now on the glide slope. So we're going to readjust the trim. You want to let the aircraft do as much work as possibly it can, right? Again, it's really easy to get low on this aircraft, so we're going to bring that nose up. Readjusting the speed. 1,000 call-outs, looking good. Now we're a little low on the approach, so we're going to bring that nose up just a little bit. Bring that trim up more. And let's go ahead and bring up that throttle. Now, the throttle's going to help us maintain our speed, our altitude, and of course speed, but maintain our altitude more. Once you give it throttle, it's going to want to stay up. So give it throttle down now. Again, very minor movements I'm doing overall with the yoke. Readjusting trim. Remember I said earlier, it's really, really easy. Really, really easy to come in high on this approach, and low. It's really easy to come in low. This plane is really low to the ground, so it kind of messes with your head. Alright, looking really good here on the approach. A little fast, but we have that headwind, so I'm not too concerned about it. We're a little low on the approach as well.
200, too low, flaps.
And we don't have full flaps out, that's my bad. Let's go ahead and readjust that. Alright, here we go.
40, 30, 20.
Hold it. Holding back a little bit. Let it hold, let it flare. Touch down there. And then let the nose fall down. Nose is down. Beautiful. Reverse is coming out. Very good. And there's 80 knots. Reversers are being stowed. And welcome to Tampa. So, outside of me not doing the flaps all the way, which is definitely a pilot error, you can see a lot of this aircraft was handled by the trim, which I know it's hard to see in this video, but is by the trim here on the right of me with the Honeycomb Bravo, and very, very minor movements with the yoke itself. So hopefully this video helped you a little bit, getting a little bit better with those CRJ landings and departures. Thanks for watching. As always, give me that likes, give me a comment down below what you think of that V2 CRJ, and we'll see you for the next one. Take care.